technicalities and the sciences of talk. I mean, I can't tell you one instance, where I ever went to the Yitzhak Hora to get anything. I just couldn't do it. It just didn't work for me. Every time I tried, I got slapped. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of getting slapped. I'm gonna just stay on this side, and this is what I know. Because I was always a leader. I was always the type of guy to be like, screw you, I'm doing it my way. And the way that worked for me, it's not even so much being a front. I never liked, a gang of women. I never liked to do drugs. It just wasn't me. It's not what I was into. I was into being successful. I wanted power. I didn't want anybody to tell me I grew up poor with nothing. I used to eat bread and sugar. That's what my mom used to give me to eat at night. I used to drink water, So that'll fill you up. Just water. So I didn't like that. Why me? Why I gotta live like that? I gotta sell drugs not to do that? There has to be a way, without selling drugs, without robbing people, without doing what was wrong, to be successful. There has to be a way. Despite the color of my skin, despite, being in a country, that's known for inequity, talking about the United States, there has to be a way. And the way was telling you, once I started, the more I started praying, when I became, Shomer Briss, I tell you, before I even became observant, I used to fast for 48 hours. And straight. No water, no food, no nothing. And I started my fast when? The Rev Shabbat, Friday night. Finished my fast Sunday night. I didn't know anything about Shabbat and the level of Shabbat. I just knew, you have Sabbath, the seventh day, whatever, it's on Sabbath. But this is what my soul was telling me to do. And it wasn't to be a hasid, because, I got friends, I know Lady Gaga, I know Rihanna, I know Jay-Z, those are my homeboys, homegirls, and everything's cool. I don't judge them. It's not like, yo, I'm Shoma Hashem, so I can't hang out with you. Nah, it's none of my business what you do. Everything's cool. But I know what works for me. I know I can never be as big as Jay-Z if I don't apply the sciences of talk. My ancestors put too much work into that. It's a heritage that was given to me. And it's something that I need to preserve. And even if you're not Jewish, because remember, Avram Avinu was this Pasha. He was the first convert. His parents were idol worshippers. But the bottom line is, there's a war. There are good people and bad people on the planet. I don't care what your race is, what your religion is, there's good and bad. People don't want to hurt people, people don't care about people, people watch you die rather than help you. There are people that like that, whether in suits or whether on the block slinging crack. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a side. One side is going to eat you up and the other side won't be able to help you. You dig? And that was my thing. I knew I was a good guy. I'd be on the block, cutting my waist. If you violate, you're gone, you're done. I don't even talk. And that's one thing they used to say about me. He don't talk. So listen, if you're going to go over there, be ready to die, be ready to kill him. But within that, I had justice. I never let anybody take advantage of a weak person. If guys didn't have anything to wear, they just came home from jail, they got kicked out their house, I give them my clothes. I didn't have a lot of food, but everybody come eat in my house. Whatever, we gonna make some eggs, and we gonna eat cornflakes with water and sugar. However it go. I was a good guy. I didn't want to take advantage. Kids would come around, they want to hang out with us. Listen, man, if you don't go to school, it's gonna be a problem. What you want to pass sneakers? All right, I'll go get you those Jordans. Just make sure you go to school. I was always a good guy. And then you get into, Moshe Rabbeinu and Avram, and you learn about these guys, and they were just like me, or I'm a fraction of what they were. It's about being good. Again, the Torah isn't going to make you good. It's just a guideline, it's a manual, it's an instruction. You buy a coffee pot, comes with an instruction. Coffee pot. You buy a game board, it has instructions. So how can you expect to be on this planet and not have a manual, not have an instruction book? It's impossible. You're kidding. You're kidding. That's how people end up, you know, their life just passing them by, and they're like, damn, man, what happened? I never wanted to be that person. So I searched and I cried and I said, yo, man, how this thing work? I need to be successful. I need to be a master. And it's not about being a multimillionaire. It's not about being a celebrity. It's not about being famous. It's about having control. It's about maximizing your potential. It's about just doing your best. I spent 10 years in prison. When I was in prison, I ain't get no calls. Nobody wanted to come see me. People said I was finished. Oh, his career is over. Oh, he's done. Wow. But I was all right. Because I was keeping Shabbos, no lights, eating food to go on my cheek, eating ice cold rice. I knew what I was doing. I was being a master scientist. So when I came out, I was Shemesh for 10 years. So when I came out, the day I walked out of prison, I was worth millions of dollars. And nobody believed that would be possible. But not worth millions of dollars because it just fell out the sky, but because I'm a musician that sold millions of records. I worked my entire life to get to that point. Wouldn't sleep at night to be in the studio. I remember I went to a club one time, and you know, Mariah Carey, she was a friend of mine. For some reason, we started talking. And you know, Jay-Z, this is when he just became real big. I don't know if you ever heard any of these people. And his song was playing. His song was playing, and I forgot what record it was. I think it was Hard Knock Life or Jigga My, one of them big records. And it was just banging through the through the speakers. And he was over there with Mariah. He was over there with Beyonce wasn't even hot back then, you know, and they were rocking, and I was sitting there in the audience, I was like, chills were going down my spine, I wanted to cry. I was like, yo, this is supposed to be me, what am I doing? My records need to be coming through them speakers, man, like what's going on? And I would leave the club, and I would walk to the club, and I'll be praying, walk to the studio, I'll be praying all the way to the studio. I got a $100,000 car, I leave my car at the club, I got a Rolex, I'm walking. Please, man, please, God, help me. Only you can help me. Please, man, please, whatever. And I'd stay in the studio, I'd sleep in the studio, I live on Park Avenue, I wouldn't even go home. I'd stay in the studio for weeks and weeks at a time. So I worked to get everything that I had, along with prayer. You know? And I'm telling you, if I knew all the things I know about the sciences of Judaism then, there's no telling where I'd be now. But it's never too late. You know, it's never too late. You know, but the point I'm trying to drive home is it's practical. It's tangible. It's not something that your pops do or your moms do. It's not something that sages do. It's something that real people do. That's what Am Yisrael was. That's what Hashem took Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael were a bunch of nothings, a bunch of people that were here, there, everywhere. And Moshe Rabbeinu had the task of his life. He took all these people and he raised them up. That's what made him so special, because he took them and made them from nothing. Joshua inherited Am Yisrael. Moshe made Am Yisrael. They complained against him. They built the golden calf, just like us today. We all mess up. You know, we all make mistakes. We all don't get it. But the bottom line is, there is a manual. There's an instruction book on how this thing works. And I'm not just some rabbi. I'm not just your pops telling me this. I'm a person that lived it. The reason I got nominated for Grammys, and this is not living after I went to jail. I had some epiphany. I came to Israel and all of a sudden I'm religious. I lived it when I was on the streets of Brooklyn. When I had dudes, and you know, I could kill them, and Torah tells you, you only do what you need to do. Go ahead, man. God is going to protect me. I'm going to let you live. I lived it. I lived it when I was in prison, and you know, I could have relations with the correction officers that were women, and I kept Shomer Brisk. Not because I'm a Hasid, not because I'm better than any of you. I just need the science of these things. It's not to be holier than thou. You know, I see many people who call themselves Hasids, who you know the Torah. They can repeat it like a robot, but they don't really understand the practicalities. Because it's not about being holier than thou. It's not like, oh, I know more Mishnah than you. Nah, that's not what it's about. It's about making your life work. Then the measure of a real boss, the measure of a real chief, is to make other people's lives work. that's the real challenge. You understand what I'm saying? So it's very practical. It's there. You just have to call out for it, and you gotta use it. You gotta use it. It's not something that's theory. You're gonna be challenged on it. And only when you stand up to those challenges, only when you're driving in your car, there's nobody there, and somebody trying to catch a ride, and you in a rush, and you say, damn, man, you know what? Let me stop and get this person a ride. Only when, you're down to your last 50 bucks, and somebody come to you with a store, and they're like, yo, man, and you're like, yo, this dude probably gassing me up, but you know what? Here. Only when you become a mensch, only when you live it. And it's not to be a sucker. It's not to be, again, oh, I'm holier than you, I keep Shabbos, I rap the feeling. That's not the point. The point is, these are all armor. These are all, ammunition. All tools on how to master this planet. Because I don't know about you, but if Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett and all these people could be successful, I want to know how I can be even more stronger than them. And I come from a heritage where people parted seas and did all types of incredible things. So I want to take this time to open the floor up for any of your questions, and so we can dialogue, because it's not really so much about what I have to say. Maybe you might have some questions.
Thanks, that was really interesting. You talked a lot about general practicality of Judaism in everyday life, but what would you say is one of the most important precepts of Torah or Mishnah that you have found has helped you live your life?
I mean, I would really, I would just say making, tefillah, making that connection. It's two prongs. Tefillah and love your neighbor as you do yourself. The way you treat people. First making a connection, and then the way you treat people. Those are the biggest precepts for me. Because how are you going to observe Shabbat? What's the sense of rapping tefillin? What's the sense of doing all these things if you gossiping about this dude? If somebody needs a place to stay and you ain't helping them? If you're looking at people with a mean face and get yours, I got mine. So the way you treat people, and making that connection, prayer. Because without making the connection, I'm a beast. I'm an animal. I kill you. I eat you alive. And once I make that connection, it calms me, and I want to do the right thing.
Why Judaism? Were you born Jewish? Or?
Yeah, well, my great-great-grandmother is an Ethiopian Jew. And so when I grew up, the way I learned about Moshe Rabbeinu and the way I learned about David Melech was through her. It was pretty rough. And, she saw me. She saw the struggles I was going through at a very early age, and so she tried to help me. And this is the way she would advise me. She wasn't telling me about Yeshua the Messiah or Muhammad or Buddha. This is what she was telling me about. But I dismissed it off the bat, like, whatever, what you know. Grandmothers don't know nothing. But later on in life, everything she told me proved to be true. Because I'm a fair guy, pretty objective. All right, this is what she's saying. Right now, I'm between a rock and a hard place. So let me read about these people she's telling me about and see if I could gain any science from these people. And it worked. I'm not a guy that, I don't care if, my mother, my father, everybody was from. If it doesn't work for me, I'm not doing it. It worked. It works. The guy in the red.
First, I'd like to thank you for coming to speak with us.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, do you find a certain conflict between the themes of rap, such as like misogyny and homophobia, and what Judaism preaches? I'm just wondering if you find.
I mean, the music I make now is not misogynistic. And it happened organically. It didn't happen because I became, I grew a strong connection. I hate to use the word from myself, but I just got a stronger connection.